Okay, let's start. Uh, so actually, I can get the report of this meeting, right? So attendance, the participants report, right? So don't worry about this attendance sheet, right? So please rename your profile name by your registration number, right? Rename your profile by your registration number, right? So if you want at the end of the session, you can send your registration number and name to the chat box, right? So I can get the what you call that meeting report, right? Okay. Yeah. Next one is the images and then links, right? So I take this source code as then I save this one as a image one.html, right? So how to insert image and uh, links, right? So that's what we are going to consider in this session, right? Okay. Okay. Links and images. So let's start, right? So uh, yeah, now we know what is the URL. URL means the uniform resource locator, right? So this is the unique address for each resource on the web, right? So in every resource has a unique URL, right? So the URL addresses schema allow user, agent, and other internet enabled program to find document and ask for their content, right? So by using the URL, we can access the web resource. That's it, right? So the typical URL has the different parts. So we know that. So we discuss this. So this is protocol. This is the domain name of the server, or we call host name. So this is the record resource, right? So this is the resource. That's it, right? So there are two kind of paths. We call the absolute path and the relative path. So absolute path contain all the relevant information to find the resource indicated by the URL. So if you have the URL, we call that is the absolute path, right? But so this is the absolute the examples for the absolute path. So this is the home page of the university web, right? So relative path means the relative path contain information relative to the current location or the current document, right? So I'll explain uh, through the example, right? So what is HTML link, right? So usually we call hyperlinks, right? So a hyperlink means, so these are the hyper resources, right? So these are the resources on the web, right? So therefore we use the term called hyperlink, right? So all the HTML links are referred as hyperlink, right? So you can click on the link and jump to the another document. So we can click on the link and then it will be directed to the relevant location or relevant resource, or we call relevant document, right? So when you move your mouse pointer over the link, right, then the mouse arrow will turn into little hand sign, right? So let's see through the examples, right? So in order to create link, we can use the tag called anchor tag, right? So the anchor tag is used to provide links within the web document to other document or other resources, right? So this is the format of that anchor tag. So this is the anchor tag, and there's an attribute called href. Href means hyperreference. Then here we can set the URL, or it may be a relative path. Here we can have a text type or description for the link, and we can close the anchor tag, right? So for example, we can set a link to the university web, right? So this is the absolute path, and here we can set the description, right? So this is how this link works. So for example, here, so now I take my source code, right? So I take my source code. So this is the image. So since this is the link, so I say link one.html, right? So this is my source code. So inside the header section, I can have a title called say links, right? So I close the title like this. So inside the body section, I can have a link, say h a href So I can have a reference to the web page, right? So to the university web, right? So if I on, so I can have a say www.pdn.ac.lk. So this is the URL of university web, right? So if you want, I can set the say URL for your faculty web, right? So this is your faculty website, right? So I take the URL, right, and paste there. So you can see this the protocol. So this is the domain name. So by default, it's directed to the index page, right? So I set faculty of AHS, right? Faculty of AHS, right? Then I close the link A, right? So then I save this and then I open this file, right? So this is the day one. So this is link, right? So you can see this, right? So this is the link, right? This one. So when you click this link, you can see it will be directed to your faculty web, right? It will be directed to your faculty web, right? Like this, right? So here, actually, this is open within the same web page, right? Now you can see, right? So if you back, right, you can see it. So if you want, you can open this web page in a different or a new tab. So you can have, there's a attribute called target. So you can open, this is in a blank web page, right? So you can click on here, it will be open in a blank web page, right? Save this blank. Now you can see. So this is the link. It will be open within new tab, blank, right? So like this, we can set a link, right? So this is the target attribute. If it is blank, right, so we can set the target attribute, right? So target specify where to open your link, right? It may be in a new tag, right? So if it is blank, we can open the link in a new window or new tab. If you say self, that's the default one, it will be open in the same tag, right? So likewise, there are other targets as well. I'll explain the two things in a iframe in, uh, concept, right? Okay. Then next one is images, right? How to set how to insert image into your web page. By the way, so in here, when you set links, right? So now this is my web page. So this is my web page, links.html. So actually inside the day one folder, right? So inside the day one folder, I have this link1.html web page. So this, right? So this is my web page. So assume I can move all the other web pages. So into the another directory, right? So I call say web pages WP, right? So this is the directory name. So this is the folder name. I say I move all the web pages except this link web page, link one, right? So I move all the web pages to the WP folder, right? WP folder. So this is my web page, right? Okay. So as I said earlier, so this is absolute path. So this is absolute path. So we discussed this absolute. So this is the absolute path, right? So here, this is the absolute path, that is URL, right? So we discussed this. This is the absolute path. So absolute path means, so which indicate all the relevant information to find the resource indicated by the URL, right? Absolute, right? Absolute path, right? So this is absolute path, right? Okay. And then what is the relative path, right? So I can have absolute path in here. Right? So this is absolute path. So in here, uh, assume now I want to set a link to another web page, say into this image, sorry, this list. So if you take this one, if you take this location of this file, right? So if you want, you can go to the file and then got the location from here. So I got the location there, or I got the location from here. I can get location from property. So from here, right? So this is the absolute path of this particular web page, right? So this is the absolute location, right? So I take this path and here I set a link for link1.html web page, right? So ahref. So this is the absolute path. So within this folder, list.html, right? So I say this is list path, right? So this is the absolute path, right? Is it clear? So this is absolute path for the list1.html web page. Then I save this, right? I save this. So this is my web page. This is my web page link. So when I click here, right now we can see. So actually this is list one, no? List1.html, right? Sorry. Now you can see it will be directed to the relevant web page, right? How can I set the path? So I take the absolute path, go to the relevant folder, and then I take the absolute path. C user admin. Likewise, I take the absolute path, right? Instead of that, I can set the relative path as well, right? So I can set the relative path, right? So here, uh, say relative path, right? So how can I set the relative path? So this is my current location because now I'm in link1.html. Is it clear? So this is my current location. Have you got the previous? Have you got the things that I set absolute path for the previous file? Is it okay? Have you got the things?
Sir,
Did you understand?
sir, can you explain once more?
Yeah. Now in here, in this case, right? So in this case, what is the requirement? The requirement is I want to set a link. Now, now I am in this link1.html web page. Is it clear? So this is my web page. So this is the source code of link1.html web page. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now what I want to do, I want to set a link. So this is my web page, right? So now I want to set a link, right? Within this list.html web page, right? So that when I click on here, it will be directed. It should be directed to the this particular web page, list1.html web page. Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
When I click on this link, it should be directed to the list1.html web page. Is it clear? So that's what I required, right? So when I click on here, it should be directed to this particular web page, right? Now I save this. Now I clear this link, right? So now this is nothing because there is no path. There's no reference, right? When I click on here, it should be directed to the list1.html web page, which is in here. So what is the location of this list1.html web page? So this is the location. See, something like that, right? So I take this location, right? I copy this location and paste into here. So because just I remove this indent, right? So this is my location, right? So path means location. Within this location, I have set say list1.html. Now the link is correct. Have you got it? Is it okay?
Okay, sir. I got it.
Yeah. So this is called absolute path. Absolute path means this contain all the information relative to the this relative the location of the list1.html web page. Is it clear? That is called absolute path, right? So that is one way to, that is one method. So this is one of the method that we have to set the link. It's okay. right? It's working, it's fine, right? But we have another way, right? We have another method. We have another method. What is that method? So this is my current file. So this is the my current location list1.html. So with respect to this particular location, we can set the link to this list1.html file with respect to my current location, right? We call the relative to the current location. We can set the uh, file link to the list1.html file, right? So we can set the path with respect to, or we call relative to the list1.html file, right? So this is the current location, right? So if you want to move to the my list1.html file, how can we move? Go to inside the WP folder, and from here we can find that file, right? So now we are in this day one folder. Day one folder. Inside the day one folder, we have a folder called WP. Go to the W4 folder and find the relative file. So this list1.html. Then, so this is how we set the relative path. A href, right? So here we have to set the path, right? And close it. Then here we can say list, say list one. I said say relative path, and close the enter. So this is absolute path, right? Absolute path, absolute path. Earlier we said the absolute path. So relative means with respect to the current location. So this is my current location. The day one folder. This is my current location. Go to the inside of WP folder. So here we can say WP slash list one.html. Is it okay? Because with respect to this file, we can go to the inside the W4 folder and then find the list1.html file. Then I save this. Then go to my web page. Actually, here we can have the break tag, right? So we can break this, right? So here we can have the break tag so that these links are in a new line, right? So I open this and refresh now. So when I click on here, it will be directed to this file. When I click on here, it also be directed to the relative file. Is it okay? Have you got it? Is it okay or not? Did you understand it? Difference between absolute path and relative path. Absolute path means here we take the what you call the path uh, of the file, but by giving all the informations. The relative path means the path which is relative to the current location of the source file. So source file is link1.html. So this is the relative path for the link1.html file. So this is the absolute path for the list1.html file. Did you understand what is the difference between absolute path and relative path? Yes or no? So what about the others? Did you understand or not? Absolute path means the path which contain all the informations, right? So relative path means with respect to the current location, we can have a relative path, right? So which one is better, absolute path or relative path? What do you mind? So what do you think about this absolute path and relative path? Which is the better way to follow? Absolute path or relative path? Which one is better? Absolute path or relative path? Yes, absolute path is better. One says absolute path is the other one calls a relative path is better. So which one is better? So if you say relative path, so what is the reason for that? If you say relative, what is the reason? If you say absolute, what is the reason? Hmm? What is the reason? So you will be asked a question like this, right? So what is the reason for that? If you select the absolute path, why do you select the absolute path? If you say a relative path, why do you select the relative path? Hmm? What do you think about that? Yes. Anyone? Yes. What is the reason? Yeah. There are some answers, so some of them are correct. So better way is relative path. The thing is assume. So if I move this folder, right? So now I have opened this all this document. I close all the web pages that I opened. Yeah, that I have opened. So I close all the web pages. Then I copy this file folder, right? Just if I want, I can just cut this, right? So I move rather than copy. I move this folder. Say I have a folder called say yeah, this one. So instead of this, so I uh, move this entire folder. So I just cut this folder from my PC, and then I move this one into the say another location like this, right? I copy this folder into the another location of my PC. Then I open this. Go to day one, and I open this link one.html file. Now, which link is working properly? What do you think about? Whether it's absolute or relative? Which one is working properly? What do you think about right now? Have you got it? Now I changed the location of my file, all the files, right? So I changed the location of my directory. Now which link is working properly? Whether absolute path or a relative path? Which one? Which one is working properly? Hmm? Which one? Yeah, yeah. If you say absolute path, it will be search this location. It will be search this location. But within this location, I don't have the list1.html. So now within the desktop, I don't have any folder, so any file. So this is not working. But if I open this one, this is all working because so inside the this H111 directory, I have this relative the what you call that list1.html file, right? So therefore, relative path is working, right? So even you are moving this entire directory to another location, if you use the absolute path, it won't be working, right? So if you use the relative path, it will be working, right? So always it's better to use the relative path, especially at the exam, right? So you have to use the relative path. Otherwise, we don't check the locations of the PC that you are working, right? So we marking inside the within our PC, right? So anyway, so if you use the relative path, it's better, right? So especially in web programming, because you are not going to host your website or the that program inside your PC. It will be hosted probably. It has to be hosted in any other hosting server, right? So what they will move their hosting location here and there, right? So that is the purpose, right? So better to use relative path, right? So don't use the absolute path. So, but there are some locations we can use that, but it's better to use the relative path, right? Have you got it? Did you understand? Yes or no? Okay. Did you understand? Okay. Okay. Then next one is how to insert an images. How to insert an image into your web page, right? Okay. Now we discuss this image. Yeah, images. Actually, by using the image, we can improve the design and the appearance, right? So basically, we use the IMG tag to insert image, right? So IMG tag is empty tag, right? So here it contains the attributes only. So it does not have the closing tag, right? So this is called empty tag, right? So empty tag, which means they don't have the closing tag, right? So it contains only the attributes, right? So this is how we use the IMG tag, IMG, then the source of the image, right? So and then we can have alterations. So in some situations, the file will not be downloaded, will not be visible. In that case, we can have a description for that file, that image, right? So the source means define where to find the image, right? It may be absolute or relative path, but it's better to use the relative path, right? So here SRC means the source define where to find the image or the location of the image, right? So that's the URL of the image, which means it can be used absolute or relative URL, right? So that's it. And ALT means the defined text to display if the user or the browser cannot display the image. So if image is not visible, we can have this description. We call ALT, alter, right? Okay, so that's the syntax of the images, right? So how to insert image IMG tag. So let's see. In here, I have so this is my file, right? So this is my file. So I open this link file and then I save this one as a, uh, so for example, I save this one as a image one, right? So I take the same source code and take say image one.html. Then I remove these tags, right? Okay. Now, actually, I don't need this one, right? So I need this one, right? Image one.html. Okay. So this file, right? Okay. So here, right? So save this and refresh. Okay. So in here, now I'm going to insert an image, right? So this is my tag img and source. So uh, my image is in the images folder, right? So inside the images folder. So yeah, this is the image that the commencement, the starting of the your faculty, right? Okay, just I said the image called say computer.jpg, right? So which is in images folder, right? So this is my file images.html. With respect to this file, so I use the relative path, right? So source means so inside the images folder, so I can have say computers.jpg, right? So this is my image computer. So we have to set the exactly file name computer, right? Computer.jpg. Okay, save this and refresh. Now you can see, right? So this is the image, right? Okay, likewise, we can insert any image as you wish, right? So there are some attributes. So for example, you can set the image size, right? So basically here, there are two attributes, width and height, right? We can set the width and height, right? And then alignment, right? So we can set the width and height as a percentage of the web browser, or we can set in pixel values. And then the image alignment. So we can align your image into left, right. Likewise, we can set the image alignment, and then we can set the image border, right? So we can set the image border using the CSS, right? So let's see how to use the width and height, right? So we can say width, say if you say 50% of the browser width, and then height, right? So usually we have to preserve this ratio as well, right? Right. Okay, like this, we can set the width and height, and then at the same time, we can say we can align this image, right? So we can align this image into the right side or left side, right? So by default, it's aligned to the left. Now this is aligned to the right. So likewise, we can set the alignments as well, right? Okay, so don't worry about that attendance sheet, the Google form, right? So you at the end of the lecture, you can send your registration number and the name to the chat box, right? Anyway, you have to change your profile name into the registration number, right? So you can change the profile name by your registration number, right? So I can get a report of the meeting, right? Attendance report of the meeting, right? So don't worry about this attendance sheet, right? Okay. So that's about the inserting an image to the web page, right? So now, did you understand that? Is it okay?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. What about others?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that's about the web, uh, what you call the inserting image, right? And the next one is how to insert a table. How to insert a table into the web page, right? So when you discuss the table, right? So we have to know uh, actual table is the way to display the data in tabular form, right? So we can align the table. We can use the table to align forms, right? So uh, if you have tables, so there's one more things to explain. The one is the table contains, say, this horizontally we call this is row, right? This is row. How many rows are there? Two rows, right? So horizontally we have rows. In vertically we have columns. In here we have columns. How many columns? Four columns. So this is the table having four columns and two rows, right? Okay. So if you want to create a table, there is a tag called table, right? Table. So each row is created using the tag called table row. The tag is tr, right? So inside the table tag, we can define number of rows, tr, table row, right? So each cell within a row defined by table data, right? In each cell in a table. So for example, so this is the first row, right? So this is the first row. So in here we can define table row. So this is called table row. So inside the table, we have a table data. So table data means table, the cell. So here we have four table data, right? So similarly, we can define another row, table row, with four table data, right? Which means four columns. Table data means columns. In later on, we can merge these two likewise, right? So we can define another table row having four table data. Like this, we can have a table with table row and table data, right? Okay, now let's see how to insert a table, right? Okay, okay, I'll take the same source code and then I save this one as a table one, right? Okay, I save this one as a table one.html. Okay, then I remove this source code, right? Okay, close this and open this table one, right? Table one. Okay, so okay, when I save this, refresh, right? Table. So what is the tag? Your tag is table, right? So at the same time, I insert the table closing tag, right? So here table row, first table row. So at the same time, I insert the closing table row, right? So here I insert say four table data, open table data, and close table data, close table data, right? So for that I mean just I copy this, right? For table data. So this is the first row. Inside the first row, for table data. So for my reference, I say this is the first row. So first row, first table data. So here, first row, first row, second table data. Likewise, I can insert the content. So here, the first row, third table data. First, first row, fourth table data. Save this. And then I refresh. Now you can have this table data is there, but the table margin is not there because table border is not there. Actually, table border is an attribute of the table. So here we can set that border, right? So we can assign the weight for the table border. It may be 2 or 3 or 1 or. So if I set 1, so the border like this. If you say 4, that's the weight here is the table weight. So this is the first row. So likewise, here instead of this, we can set some content, say name, say registration number, right? Say department, say mobile number or email, something like that, right? Email like this. I can set some values like this. So this is the first row. Similarly, we can insert another row, table row, right? So here, close the table row, right? So here we can insert table data, right? Table data, TD, and then close the table data. Sorry, that I mean I copy the same code for 4 times, right? And refresh this. Here we can insert value, right? Say value is say Kamal, right? And then the registration number is just what's your batch? 21.
Yes, sir. 21.
Say you are 001 likewise. So department is say nursing, right? Likewise, we can set the value, right? Right? When you are say email, right? Say just something like that, right? Say 21, say 001 at likewise, right? hs.pdn.ac.lk, something like this, right? So we can set values, right? So likewise, we can say border is usually we set 1, right? Likewise, we can create a table, right? Okay. And then there are some other attributes as well. If you take table, right? So if you take table, we can have, so here now we can see this content is almost set to this cell, right? So we can have some space. So we call, that is called cell cell spacing, right? We can have some cell space as well as we can have uh, cell space is cell padding. There's another attribute called cell padding. So we can set some values, right? So cell padding is 5 and cell spacing is say 5, right? Like this. So I'll explain why one by one, right? So I'll remove this, save this, and now you can see cell spacing means the difference with the what you call space between two cells, right? So if you remove this, right? Save. Now there is no space between two cells. So here we can see there is no, this is the default space. But if you say cell spacing 5, there's a space between two cells. You can see cell space. And then next one is cell padding. Cell padding means the space between the content and the cell. So here we can say cell margin and the content. The content is almost starting from the cell margin. But if you say cell padding is 10, so we can keep some space between the cell margin and the content. Have you got it? Did you understand? Yes or no? Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And then next one is actually, so usually this is called header row. Header row means row contains the fields or the attributes. So usually we don't mention this one as a table data. So since this is table header, so we use the term called th table header, right? So I'll change this because I want to show what is the difference between table data and the table header. Then I save this, then I refresh. Now you can see the inside the table header, right? So all the contents are in merge. Sorry, not the merge, the bold, right? Have you noticed that? Now, difference between TH and TD, table header and table data. Did you understand it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so below the table header, assume now I want to insert another row, right? So in here, assume I want to insert another row, right? So here I insert another row like this, right? So again, I have to insert the four table data, right? Four table data, but I don't need the four table data. Actually, I want only one cell which consists four table data, right? Have you got it? Now I don't need this four table data, right? Four table data, but I want this space of four table data. I want space of four table data, but I don't need four cells. I need only one cell, which contains four table data, right? That means I have to merge these four cells into one. Have you got it? I want to merge these four cells and create only one cell, right? In that case, I remove these three, right? Remove these three. Actually, here I want to span this particular cell into four table data or into four columns. Have you got it? This first column, I am talking about this particular cell, right? So when I'm in here, I want to span this column into four. That is called column span. So here there is an attribute called column span. Span into how many columns? How many columns?
Four.
Four. I said four columns there. Now you can see there is one cell which consists four cells, which means span up to four cells. So here we can say faculty of say allied health science, right? Have you got it? If you want, you can bold this and align this. Even here we can set this one as a header. This one as a header, right? Even this one can be saved as a set as a table header, right? Have you got it? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so likewise, we can change the
Yes.
layout of the table. Change the layout of the table, right? So, so you can use the table span, table. Actually, here there are some additional attribute here. We can set the in addition to table article cell padding, cell spacing. We can have a, BG color, background color for table, right? Say right? So there are a number of attributes, right? Green. Likewise, we can set background color. At the same time, we can set the width of the table. We can set width, say 70% of the web browser, right? And then we can set the height of the table, right? So we can set the height of the table, say 80% from the web browser, right? So likewise, we can set those attributes. So here we don't have that much of content. So that's the thing, right? Okay. And then if you want, we can align the table, right? So this order is not important, right? So this order is not important. This order is not important. So again, here we can set the align. Say align the table. Say align center, right? So here we can center the table like this, right? So it doesn't matter, right? This order is not important, right? Now you can see, right? So table is aligned, right? So likewise, we can have more attributes in table tag, right? So we can change the layout, right? So we can change the layout, right? So we can merge the cells. So here we span the columns. Likewise, similarly, we can span the rows as well, right? So for example, uh, if you want to span row, we can do that, right? It doesn't matter, right? So if you want, you can create table like this, right? Like this, right? So we'll do those kind of examples at the practical session, right? Okay, then I'll stop in here. Then I think you have another session on next Monday. Next Monday, I think you have another session, no? Yes or no? Do you have another session on next Monday? Yes, I know. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah, I think on 28th, no? In 28th Monday, you have another lecture. Am I correct? Yes or no? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I'll stop on here. Then we'll continue on next session, right? Okay. So send you a registration number and name, right? Okay, I'll upload this presentation to the Moodle, right? Okay. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, sir.